Joining us now to talk about some of the top issues for the cattle industry is Kendal Frazier, CEO of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. Kendal, we just heard a little bit about the Waters of the United States issue, and I'm curious, what is the status of the ongoing litigation, and what do you expect the next steps are for both NCBA and the Public Lands Council?
NCBA and the Public Lands Council, along with several other land use organizations, filed a lawsuit to stop the implementation of the Waters of the United States proposed rule by EPA. And it's still in the court system, and we are committed as an organization to stopping that rule from ever being implemented. And we will continue to fight it vigorously in the court system. But that's where it's at, Kevin. It's in a legal process right now that's preventing the rule from being implemented. And this is a high priority of our organization to stop it.
All right, well, thank you for the update. And, you know, NCBA just completed its mid-year event right here in Denver, Colorado this summer. What were some of the key policy issues that came out of that meeting?
So here's what we talked about at that meeting. Obviously, trade and the Trans-Pacific Partnership. NCBA is fully supportive of that. It will level the playing field around the world for U.S. beef compared to our competitors around the world. It's extremely important that Congress pass that. We also had a discussion about the Waters of the United States rule. There's a lot of discussion about access to public lands and continued access to public lands for those users in the western part of the United States. And then another issue we spent a lot of time on at the summer meeting was all the market volatility that we've seen in the last year and a half in the live cattle futures and feeder cattle futures contracts at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and a lot of market volatility issues surrounding that. So those were the big issues that were talked about and policy made that now will be advanced to our membership through our publication, and our members will have an opportunity to vote on that.
That's the issue that I'm getting the most questions about. County fairs and state fairs across the country here is that issue of market volatility. Tell folks specifically, what is NCBA doing about that issue?
So we've got a working group that's working with the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and basically in two big areas. One is the live cattle futures contract and the market volatility around it. We believe there's too much volatility. Obviously, you have to have the ability to manage risk with that contract, and you have to have liquidity in the marketplace. But we've seen unprecedented volatility in that contract, so that would be a big concern of ours. The other thing that working group is working on is price discovery. How do we do price? How do we have adequate price discovery in our industry? So those are the two issues that we're working on. We have a working group that is working with CME to try to work through those.
You know, the beef industry has no shortage of opponents, but recently we kind of rung up a win with this Meatless Mondays issue, didn't we? Tell folks about that.
Well, we did. We were successful in a defense appropriations bill to attach a rider that prevents any Meatless Mondays in any military facility. So that was a big win for us, and we felt good about it, and hopefully that will go through the appropriations process now as we look toward the end of the year.
Yeah. And speaking of politics, presidential year this year, what is the outcome going to mean for cattlemen and women across this country?
Well, Kevin, you know, there's been a lot of attention around the presidential campaign, and that's going to play out. The candidates have been named. We're going to have an election. But I don't want that to overshadow our efforts at the congressional level. We do not endorse presidential candidates, but we do endorse congressional candidates, both the Senate and the House. And we look for Democrats and Republicans both on a bipartisan basis that have the best interest of the cattle industry. And we're going to be actively involved in those campaigns, working with our state affiliate organizations. And that's really important, the shape of the new Congress as we go through the election. And we sure can't let the presidential campaign overshadow the importance of Congress.
Yeah, that's a great point. You talk to a lot of people across the country in your role as you travel and visit with leaders across this industry. What's the general mood? I always ask you the question, Kendal, but what is the general mood and overall tenor of the industry right now?
I'd say it's apprehensive. We've lost a tremendous amount of equity in the feeding segment of our business. Calf prices are a lot lower than they were a year ago and 2 years ago. So there's there's some apprehension about the markets going forward. What is this cattle market going to do? We're expanding the cow herd, although I think that we're going to see that slow down a little bit in reaction to lower calf prices. So there's a lot of anxiety about the market. That's what I would call the more negative side in our industry. The positive side in our industry is that in almost all of the country, except for California and some areas of the Southwest, we've broken the drought. And that means cattlemen have feed, they have grass. And they're very positive about that, coming out of the sustained period of drought that we had that caused this massive liquidation in our industry. So it's kind of a mixed bag right now. While the markets are lower, they still have grass and a lot of feed going into the winter.
Kendal, thank you as always for carving out some time in your busy schedule to come join us.
Thank you, Kevin.
Now, if you'd like to have a say in beef industry policies and issues, it's easy to join not only your state cattle association, but also NCBA. Both organizations are dedicated to protecting your business and the future for all of us in the cattle industry. But we need your help to do so. Joining is easy. Just call 1-866-USA-BEEF, or you can visit our website, and that's beefusa.org.